One of the hardest things to do in life is finding a great mentor. I was lucky enough to find my mentor, LaVenia, in 2004 when I worked for a major wire service. Lou guided me professionally and personally. Lou has been battling the wire services and auto gatherers for over 30 years, and he's got the scars to prove it. Lou helped Lovingly get to where it is today. Did you know that Lovingly has generated over $500 million in gross merchandise sales for the local floral community in North America? None of that would have been possible if it wasn't for Lou's mentorship, guidance, and friendship. Here he is to tell the story in his own words.
I'm a dinosaur. I've been around a long time. I started representing this industry back in 1988. I was 58 years old. My wife is a florist. The first meeting I went to, it had to do with a company called Steinberg here in Montreal. They were going to shut the florist down on Sunday because of a blue law. Why? Because they wanted a business. I said at this meeting, similar to what's going on right now with a bunch of florists. That was the saddest bunch I've ever met in my life. There was so much pettiness. Nobody could come up with a plan. One of the people there knew me. He knew I was an attorney. I'm also an engineer. I hold 2 doctorates. And they asked me to represent them. And of course, it's either that or my wife would put me on the street. So we took it on and we defeated Steinberg. It was very simple. A blue law can be contested because it's really not part of a change of a modern law. The proceedings, simple. But if you look at that meeting with the florist at that particular time, they would have sat there for a week and never got to it and never got the answer. Well, what happened to me in this industry, it would take hours to explain. Jim Jordan, ex-CEO and president of FTD, is on this board with us. We all went down this road together. And I can tell you, in 2005, it was probably 8 or 9 years since I stepped out of the industry. But I'd learned so much about this industry. Back then, it wasn't hard to understand how the auto gatherers were getting started up. The florists, because of their inability to come together and enunciate their problems in a proper way, were getting used and abused to the tunes of millions of dollars. Here I am, argued in front of the Canadian government. Top people. 5.5-hour argument with the head of finance, minister of finance. And we won the argument. That changed the cross-border trade law, which put about 27% more back into the flower buying. And that change also transported into the change as far as transportation and so on and so forth. That was all done because the florist backed us up. And as a unit, we were unstoppable. In Quebec, we had a thing called a marketing board. Popped up out of nowhere. Here I was doing my job, running all over the country. I have other businesses. I get a phone call and I come back to Montreal. I'm saying, what is this? Well, the Association of Florists in Montreal, come to find out, they dropped their membership down from about 1,400 over a 3-year period while I was running around doing other business to where less than 100. And the top of this group in Quebec were part and parcel to the marketing board. We did not have any way to stop this. We would have had a marketing board all across Quebec. And in my office downtown, one day somebody walked in, a woman. To this day, I don't know her. She gave my secretary a manila envelope. It was the minutes of the meeting involving the florists and the marketing board. And everybody on the top of that florist association was given a job at $50,000 as part of that marketing board. The florists selling the florist down the drain. Sad, huh? I wish I knew that woman today and thank her, but that's 25 years ago. We move forward and what do? How do we stop this? Rita Truba. She said, Lou, let's call a meeting of the florists and tell them what's happening about the marketing board. The industry was on fire here. We minute the clock. That's the auction for the flowers here. 566 florists. And I told Rita, I want some time to talk to the board. So we went up before the meeting in the office, 18 of them on that board. And they said, oh, Lou, good to see you, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I said, well, it's the first time you ever was glad to see me. And he said, what can we do for you? I said, well, it's actually, I've got a proposition for you. So what's that? So Rita handed out 18 resignation slips. And I told them, you're all resigning, or I'm going down on the floor of 500 people and tell them what you've done. And I threw the packet on the table. There was a wholesaler here. She opened it up. She read it. She sweat. You could see it pouring off of her. Within 20 minutes, they all signed off. And we created a new board with a board of governors so that never could happen again. And we defeated the marketing board. Why? Because one florist did the right thing. So I go away with years of experience and know-how. And one day in 2005, there's this little guy from Queens, New York called Joe Vega. He was installing a very expensive computer system in my wife's store. And I got to know Joe. Queens, New York. Anybody know about that? I lived in Brooklyn for a while. I'm originally from Texas. Joe was from Hell's Kitchen. You know what it's like to grow up there? It's hell. I got to like Joe. Joe was one of the smartest little guys I think I ever met in my life. And I had all this background in my head of how it should be to build a wire service properly, where the florist could fairly make $1 and Joe could make $1. Many a time he'd come to the house, we'd sit, we'd go to the boat, we'd talk. This was just a little guy from Hell's Kitchen. One day he calls me, he said, I'm going to give it a try, Lou. We're behind you 100%. You know where the first office Joe had was? Top of a garage with a plywood paneled bathroom. That's where he started. Huh? Lovingly today, that's where it started. And on my kitchen table, a year later, Ken was there. We sat down and we put together what today is Loving with one intent in mind. And as long as I'm alive and Jim's alive, Randy's alive, there'll never be any other way to go but to protect and defend this florist industry. It's your industry. Joe swore to that. Ken swore to that. And we set out with one goal in mind to make it fair for the florist to make $1. That's what it is. You don't know me because I'm a low key person. I'm 88 years old, but I'm tough as a boot. What I gave to Joe and Ken is a lifetime of experience, and we're there every day to help them. I believe that the florists should have a right to state their case. And if something is wrong, we should correct it. I've enjoyed causing nothing but hell with Joe and Ken, and they love proving me wrong. But you know what? They also proved that they were right many times. But here's where we're at. Joe called me about this problem. Problem? Or is the problem elsewhere? We should be willing to hear this out. I get a phone call from a girl, and I was really surprised in talking to her. Her name is Shelly. In fact, I enjoyed talking to her. She's got 4 shops. She's a business person. She's trying to make this go. Well, what I've experienced over the years with florists or artists, I've been in flower shops and asked them, how'd you do that? How much you make? They'd ring up the cash register and what would pop out? They'd say, oh, $360. What about the overhead, the flower? Oh, I got to feed my family first. I worry about the taxes later. Them businesses don't last. Them people don't last. They're followers. They're not leaders. So the best of you have to come forward. And those of you that aren't sure have to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. Nobody's perfect. I've been kicked and beaten by so many people. But in the end, they put me in a book as a builder of the floriculture industry in Canada. There's only 14 of us. 2 of us are still alive. Bob Newton's 94 and he's dying. I'm the last one left. And what did I do? I gave this to Ken and Joe. This is who we are together. We stand together. We fight together. We make it happen. We don't take petty steps. Why? It's all about money. It's not about you, the individual florist. The guy that gets up every day to feed his family, the woman that does the same thing. That's what this is about. And I guarantee you, as long as I'm alive, them boys will never step away from that, or they'll have me to deal with. You should get to know us old guys. We're proud to have them. And we wouldn't be here if they were garbage and full of BS. No, their meanings are there. Their heart's there. And if you want to pick them apart, we'll start with me. I like a good action. But in the end, the ones that lose are the ones that can never say that they were wrong or they made a mistake. And you know, my conversation with Shelley was interesting. Personally, we have an advisory committee, and I'd like to see her on that advisory committee. Why? Because she's a florist. Now, why do I say that? Well, I looked at Joe and Ken because they're intelligent. They could do something I couldn't do, and I was too old. You people that are running that company are fantastic at what you do, technically. I listened to her. I think we need to have a real florist or two with us on the board and let them answer some of the questions. Nobody's here to beat you up. We're here to find a better way. And if you were to go down on the beach and you look and there was 2 huge towering buildings, where would lovingly be? Well, they wouldn't even cast a shadow on the horizon. But guess what? They're third in the marketplace. Why? Because of the fairness that they're giving the florists. None of this is going to come easy unless we all pull together, put our petty differences aside, find the best of us to represent us, and move ahead. In Texas, we say it's time to kick and take names, and that's where we're at. And if you want to keep your business and you want to make money, Don't let big business use you like a puppet. That's not why we fought so hard years ago to be where we're at today. But we almost lost an industry here. And I'm nobody special. I just get up every morning and be thankful I'm alive and look at the world and happy I'm part of it. I don't want anything from anybody. It's standing up and doing what's right. The world's full of these people. All they're ever going to tell you is you're lucky. That's a word that people use because they never got out of bed, put their feet in the floor, put their head down, and went to work. You people get up every day to work. And either we do this together or this industry will die. And it'll be controlled exactly like they're talking about by the Amazons and so on and so forth. We're here for you. And the day that you can't talk to us is the day we should be out of business. And don't you think Joe and Ken's got it easy with me, or Jim, or Randy? We were the best at what we done, the best, and we're still the best. But we're giving it to the young, smart people because the world changes, times change, processes change, and we have to change with it. And I'm proud to see how they're doing. And I think together, in the end, we'll win. If you don't, well, maybe you need to go paddle your boat somewhere else and let them take your money and use you and abuse you. But here, stay with us. And what we know, we're going to pass to these youngsters. They're going to toughen up and get it done. But there's never been a day that we said, we're going to pick on you to take your money because you're stupid. Don't work that way. And anybody, if there's a group of people complaining, you got 2 that started it and 50 that aren't smart enough to figure out why they're there. It's always been that way. There's leaders and there's followers. Let the leaders stand forward, make it happen, and support the ones that need the help that are following. As a team, we can do this. Let's get it done.